young friends, hello and welcome to Study with Sudhir, your digital classroom. I thought I'll just do this very short video just hours before your English literature examination just to clarify many of the doubts that are being expressed both over email as well as in the comment section, some of them even over Instagram. Now, many of you have asked what should be the length of each story. Now, what I would say is that stop obsessing over length. The length of an answer is not going to get you the marks, and I've said this in multiple videos in the past. It is the nature and the content of your points that is going to get you marks, and whether you are using the right keywords and whether you are addressing the question straight away. So if there is a 3-mark question and if there are 2 parts to the question or perhaps even 3 parts to the question, ensure that you answer each one of them directly, because each one of them will carry only 1 mark. So you're not expected to write a tome for that 1-mark question. So you write to the point, which may be just about 2 sentences or so, leave a line between that and ensure that those 3 points are very clear for the examiner in order to mark you correctly. So length is not the key, it is your keywords that are the key, and the fact that if you are able to attack the answer straight away. In fact, in our earlier videos in the morning, Amrita Chandra also had made the same point. Don't beat about the bush, come to the point straight. So I hope this is loud and clear. Do not obsess over, if you write a 2-page answer which is not answering the question directly, sorry to say, you won't get the marks. Okay, so I hope this is loud and clear. I mentioned about keywords. It would really help for you to actually underline the keywords. Again, this is something which I've said multiple times, reminding you once again, please underline the keywords with a normal pencil or the pen, or if you have a color pencil, please underline it. That will help it being highlighted better to the examiner. Third point, this is again another concern for people, whether to quote from the poem or the story or from MOV and how much to quote. Now see, you can quote. One student asked me whether it is okay to quote from the poem itself, from the extract which has been given. Perfectly all right, but in most cases, the questions that you get will not be directly related only to the extract. There will be, but there will be also questions which kind of test your understanding of the text. Because remember, and I said this in the video yesterday, your familiarity with the text is what is being tested. So they will ask questions about what happened before, in the stanza before or the stanza after in case of a poem, or in the case of MOV, what happened before this particular extract or what happens after, or in the case of the story also. So your familiarity with the text is being tested, and if you are able to quote from extracts later on in the scene or before in the scene, that will really impress the examiner. So please do that. But again, the point to be considered is that just a string of quotes is not going to get you the answer. The quotes have to supplement, they have to complement the argument and the point that you are making. Understood? Whatever point you are making, use the quotes to embellish it further, so that it looks more heavy. Quotes always impress the examiner. Trust me, they do. So please feel free to use the quotes, but don't use the quotes in isolation. They should be adding to the point or the argument or the analysis that you are making. So I hope that is very, very clear. I spoke about MOV in the video yesterday evening, which we had released at 5 o'clock, and I had given the example of, Shylock, 10 points you keep and 8 to 10 keywords, which will really help you as far as the answer is concerned. Now through the night or early tomorrow morning, all I want to do, most of you would have revised MOV by now, just prepare the characterization, and I said this yesterday also, of Antonio, Bassanio, Portia, Shylock we have already discussed, Morocco and Aragon, just these 6 characters. Also, what you should do in order to help you better so that you don't spend time thinking about it and you have the points at your fingertips, the relationship between Bassanio and Antonio, important. You may get a 4-mark question about that. Last year, I think it came in 2019. The animosity between Shylock and Antonio, what had happened in the past, the calling of names, the spitting at him, and what all happened at the Rialto, everything down to the trial scene. So the relationship, the adversarial relationship between Antonio and Shylock. Also, the character of Portia and her cleverness and how she saves Antonio during the court scene. Then how she deals with her suitors. The fact that somebody said, is it okay to call her a hypocrite? Hypocrite may be a strong term to use for Portia. What we need to do is that to say that, she actually knows, she's very diplomatic in the manner in which she deals with her suitors. That is what you need to point out. So if you are able to keep these points ready, that will help you. Finally, see, in your many people asking what will come, whether Chief Seattle will come, whether this poem will come, whether this story will come. I have said this many times. Most teachers believe, in fact, there is almost a consensus based on the council's prior, kind of the experience with the council's question papers in the past, that they generally do not repeat the same poem or story. Now, Treasure Trove was introduced last year in 2019. So, the expectation is that the council would want to test you on the remaining 14 poems and stories. That's the expectation. You never know whether they decide to surprise you, but at least that's the expectation. So my suggestion has been that do not completely ignore the 6, but prepare these 14 much better. Now of these 14, I have been saying R.K. Narayan and Sarojini Naidu being the 2 Indian authors, prominent Indian authors, good chance of them coming. There are 3 stories. In fact, of the 4 stories, All Summer in a Day came last year. There are 3 other girl-child related stories. Angel in Disguise, Little Match Girl and The Blue Bead. A good chance of 1 or at least even 2 of them coming. Then of course there is Hearts and Hands, which I would think has a good chance. Television, I thought even last year it would come, it did not come. Daffodils as a poem has a good chance. On 2 poems dealing with life, Cold Within and Why the Caged Bird Sings. You never know. One student said that since it's the year of the Olympics, would the 9 gold medals or the greatest Olympic prize come? Now, it's a good point. The Tokyo Olympics are going to be held in July 2020, July-August 2020. Of course, depending on whether coronavirus completely disappears and dissipates by then. It was a good point, but both of them came last year, much to everyone's surprise, because both of them dealt with the spirit of friendship, spirit of empathy. And it was a surprise that 2 stories dealing with sports came in the same examination paper, which is why we thought that perhaps it will not come, but well, it's the year of the Olympics, so you never know. Last point, many of you have been saying what is the pass mark because they have not done the mathematics exam very well. Okay, what happens if you fail in one subject? My only submission to you is that forget maths, look at the future, don't look at the past. Even if you have spoiled one paper, even if the paper did not go according to expectations, look at how you can make up in the remaining 8 subjects. Just because you are despondent about the second examination does not mean that you go and spoil the remaining 8 also. So do not do that. Keep your chin up. I'm sure all of you will do well. So go ahead and do the English literature paper tomorrow very, very well. Thank you very much for watching.